Welcome back everyone, I hope you're all awesome. On today's video, I want to look at the Axe-FX 3 Turbo side by side with actually my Axe-FX Mark 1, just to give you an indication of the differences in performance and CPU savings that you get between the Turbo version and the standard version. It's a question that pops up quite a bit. Should I just get a Mark II, or should I pay the extra bit of money and get the extra performance out of the Turbo? I want to give you a few examples of why you might want to consider the Turbo. As a baseline, what I'm going to do is just let you hear my main live preset on my Mark I, so the non-Turbo version. It's using quite a lot of fun stuff in here. I've got the USA lead mid-gain amp, I've got a gate, I've got my go-to cab IR that I made with the Axe-FX 3's IR utility, some sculpting and shaping with a parametric EQ and a multiband. I've got the London plate reverb on high quality. I've got some dual chromatic detune happening on here. I've even got a chain up here with a parametric EQ filter and compressor to kind of mimic a direct-to-console 80s clean sound. I've broken this preset down before, so if you haven't heard it, I'll just let you hear the main chunky rhythm scene. This is a PRS DGT in drop D. We get this. Sounds pretty massive in here. I've got my Atom A7X monitors connected, but you are hearing the direct output on there. So that's running around like 65, 66%, plenty of room to add more blocks. Let's just have a look at how the same preset with the same firmware runs on the Turbo. So as you can see, same block layout on here. The main thing is that the CPU is now hovering around like 48, 50%. So I've got loads more room to add fun stuff into this preset. One thing that would be really handy with something like this, a pretty kind of stacked live preset, especially if you're playing in a band with, say, 2 guitar players, or you're in a situation where you might have a gig where people come and sit in, is you could use the same unit. I could actually duplicate this entire preset and use another input and output on here and turn it into a dual guitar rig. Let's have a look at that. So I've called this preset Double Up Live. I have dropped a few effect blocks in here, but you can see the same amp on both chains in here, the same gate settings, the same cabinet running at maximum size on here, which you can see in the cab more section, it's set at max. I've got both reverb units running at ultra high quality. I've got 2 pitch blocks in here. I've got 2 multi-band compressors, and I'm around 80%. So I might be able to sneak in like a phaser or an extra filter or something in there. It still sounds exactly the same. Which is pretty awesome. But again, you've got that situation where if you're in a 2-guitar band, you could use one Axe-FX for the band. Both guitar players could play through it. In fact, if your bass player wanted to as well, you can slim these presets down a little bit. I've just dropped the gates in here and the pitch blocks, and I've been able to add the black glass distortion pedal in here, a compressor, an IR player with an Ampeg 8x10 IR loaded. I'm routing that through input 3 and output 3. So we've got guitar 1, guitar 2 playing through identical signal chains on there. You know, there's multi-tap delays. I'm using modifiers in the amp block to kick the input boost and the fat switch in, multi-band compression. You've got these clean chains in here and a bass chain, and it all fits in there as a single preset. So it's a rig for your entire band, basically with no compromises. You can do this on the standard version, but you have to drop a lot of effects and really strategize what you do and don't include in here. This feels like a no compromise solution. Another application would be using the new DynaCabs and the FullRes IRs. The Mark II and the Turbo both let you store third-party FullRes IRs. The Mark I actually doesn't. There's just a few FullRes IRs in there, and they are pretty handy for kind of capturing a bit of room ambience. I'll show you a preset that's basically just amp, cab, and reverb on the Mark I, and how quickly the DynaCabs and the FullRes IRs kind of eat into the available CPU. Then we'll try the same preset on the Turbo. Back on the Mark I, I've got the Plexi 6 CA7 jumped model on here, which I recently did a video about. I love the way that sounds. pairing it up with my go-to cab IR, there is a reverb in this preset that I'll just quickly kick in here. Again, London plate, ultra high quality. We get so that sounds pretty sweet if you like the plexi thing. I'm going to swap over to channel B in the cab block. So I'm currently using just a legacy IR in there. I'm going to change over to a new DynaCab. In this case, I'm going to mute everything, or in this case, I'm just going to solo this cab 2 in here, which is the 4x12 1960 TV with a ribbon mic. I can kind of move this around and place it anywhere I like on the virtual speaker. You will notice that the CPU increased by 2 or 3% on there. So let's just hear that single DynaCab, then I'm going to bring in 3 more DynaCabs on there, and you'll notice that the CPU usage does get quite heavy. Alrighty, so we're up to about, what, 45, 46% on there. I was talking about the FullRes IRs before. What I'm going to do is, in parallel, I'm going to add an IR player block and load some of the factory FullRes IRs. I'll bypass the reverb for this as well, because these are just going to be bringing some room ambience. You can see I'm using these 4x12 Brit Greenback room IRs, panned left and right. IR length is at maximum on both of them. I've just brought the overall level down over here. Let's turn the reverb off, and let's just hear this block bypass, and then I'll kick it in. It is quite pleasant, and I like this effect, especially playing on headphones. You can see we've shot up to above 70% CPU on here. This isn't something that I would use all the time, but if you're going for a bit more of that amp in the room feel, and you like the kind of studio style setup where you have multiple virtual speakers and virtual microphones that you can move around, this is like having an amazing live room with different speaker cabinets mic'd up and the ability to blend in some of that room sound all in a single preset, which, if you're kind of like an amp purist, I know I've been in that situation in the past in a studio, it is so much fun to play around with. But if you do settle, say, on this IR mix with the FullRes IRs, then you don't have a lot of room to add other effects. So let's see the same preset again on the turbo. I've got the same amp, the same cab blend, and the same IR player mix on there, but I'm running it around 60%, so I can go and add some effects to this. Let's turn the reverb on. Let's maybe add a delay block in here. I'm going to add something from my blocks library, which you can get for free. I'll link it in the video description. Let's just say go for, I don't know, like an EVH style dual delay on here. I can kick in, say, a boost pedal in front of here. I really like the hotcake model that was added recently. So we'll go in here. These are my favorite hotcake settings. And, let's add a phaser in front of all of that. And, we're adding all these blocks and it's barely touching the sides on here. So we'll go phaser and we'll go for like, kind of an Eddie style thing over here. Let's just hear this. You can see I've added delay, drive, and phaser, and I've only increased the CPU usage by 5%. And of course, the inevitable all-in preset. I know some of you are going to ask about this. I tried to add as many things as I could to this particular preset. So we've got a compressor, wah, flanger, drive, phaser, a stereo pair of amps over here, both the ODS 100 clean on this scene. Got a gate. I've got a cab just running a stereo pair again of my LT-TV Mix 7II. You can get that one for free in the video description. Multi-band compressor, there's a chorus, there are 2 delay blocks in here, there's a pair of pitch blocks in here. This one's doing like a dual detune delay, this one's doing stereo detune. A pair of multi-tap delay blocks, one doing the Lexicon PCM70 pan, the other doing the circular. A Plex delay pair doing some awesome sounding reverbs. I've got 2 different reverb blocks in here, Rich Hall and Ursa Major, and then the dynamic distortion block, just kind of doing some kind of saturation style stuff. So what I'm going to do is just let you hear this ridiculous preset on the clean sound. I'm going to start by bringing in some of these kind of time-based blocks. I'm eventually just going to let you hear all of them, because if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. You can also have loads of fun with just like input, amp, cab, and output, and just do it totally raw and old school. Either way, hopefully this video will help some people decide on whether they just want a Mark II or whether they want to go with the extra power that a turbo delivers on there. I think the big advantage is making use of the DynaCabs and the FullRes cabs in there. People have really been responding well to the DynaCabs. It's something that's been requested for a long time, and if you do really want to get into that IR blending, then the Turbo is a fantastic platform for it. If you're just running far simpler presets, then there's the FM3 and the FM9, as well as the just standard Axe-Fx Mark II on there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What have you got? What are you using? What are you loving? I always love hearing from all of you. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, you can check the video description to support what I do, pick up some of the music that I make with Ragdoll, sign up to my Patreon, or get yourself some free IRs, or come and hang out on the Discord. I'll play you all out with just amp and cab, the good old USA lead mid-gain. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.